Let's look at Randy Couture. He was born on June 22nd, 1963. He is an American actor, former U.S. Army sergeant, and Couture is generally recognized as a clinch and ground and pound fighter who uses his wrestling ability to execute takedowns, establish top position, and successively strike the opponent on the bottom. His nickname is The Natural, which has something to do with the way he burst onto the MMA scene back in 1997. Looking back, Couture won his first UFC bouts with training he gathered in his wrestling days. His debut was on UFC 13 on May 30th, 1997, as part of a four-man heavyweight tournament. His first opponent outweighed him by nearly 100 pounds. Couture won in under 1 minute by rear naked choke. He coached Team Couture while the number one contender for the UFC light heavyweight was Chuck Liddell, and he coached Team Liddell. The series was a success for both Spike TV and the UFC. On April 16, 2005, in a rematch at UFC 52, Couture lost his title and suffered his first knockout loss of his career against Chuck Liddell. He faced Liddell for the third and final time in a championship match at UFC 57 on February 4, 2006. He was knocked out in the second round and immediately afterwards announced his retirement from MMA. After retiring from MMA, Couture became a regular broadcast commentator for UFC events and co-host of Before the Bell and After the Bell on the Fight Network. On June 24, 2006, on the Ultimate Fighter 3 finale, Couture became the fourth inductee into the UFC Hall of Fame. On January 11, 2007, Couture announced his return from retirement. He confirmed he would face Tim Sylvia for the UFC Heavyweight Championship at UFC 68 on March 3, 2007. He announced he had signed a 4-fight, 2-year deal with the UFC. At the age of 43, Couture defeated Sylvia by unanimous decision to become the UFC heavyweight champion. On October 11th, the same year, Couture announced he was severing all ties with the UFC, leaving 2 contracted fights, a position as an on-air analyst, and the UFC heavyweight championship behind. 7 days later, on October 18, 2007, UFC President Dana White said Couture remained the UFC heavyweight champion despite his plans to quit, and reiterated he would not release Couture from his final 2 fights of his contract. Couture held a press conference, again 7 days later, where he denied his departure from UFC was a retirement, set forth his grievance about his pay, and reiterated his belief that he would be free from any contractual obligations to the UFC after 9 months. On October 30th, 2007, White and SUFA CEO Lorenzo Fertitta held another press conference where White reiterated the UFC's position on 12 days prior and released documents refuting Couture's claims about his pay he received. White and Couture had a good conversation at UFC 78. They meet again on Thanksgiving weekend to discuss a possible UFC return, but Couture said he had no desire to do so at the time. Cornering some of his fighters from Extreme Couture at HDNet Fights on December 15th in Dallas, Texas, Couture answered questions about Fedor Emelianenko, stating that he would like to fight him in October once his UFC contract expired. If the UFC could not come to a co-promotion agreement with Russia's M1 Global beforehand. So then there was a lawsuit on January 15, 2008. SUFA filed a lawsuit in the Clarks County District Court in Nevada, citing breach of contract and irreparable damage, seeking over $10,000 in damages. On February 28, 2008, Judge Jennifer Togliatti handed down the first ruling in the case, issuing a preliminary injunction barring Couture from participating in an IFL event held the following day. On August 2nd, 2008, a Texas appeals court granted Southworth's request for a stay against a motion for declaratory judgment in a suit filed by AD-Net regarding Couture contractual status with the UFC. The stay effectively ended the dispute in the state of Texas, and Southworth was allowed to move forward with the Nevada suit. On September 2008, the UFC announced it had signed Couture to a new 3-fight contract. On November 15th, he returned at UFC 98 in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he lost the UFC Heavyweight Championship to Brock Lesnar. After more fights, Couture had stated he was interested in fighting Lyoto Machida. They fought on April 30th, 2011 at UFC 129 before 55,000 fans in Toronto. Couture stated before the bout it would be his final fight. Machida knocked him out in the second round with a jumping front kick. After the fight, Couture announced he was finally done fighting at the age of 47. On January 29, 2013, Couture signed with Bellator to become a coach in the first season of their reality show Fight Master Bellator MMA, which debuted in June 2013. Couture also did commentary for Bellator 96. He also broke into acting. Couture currently serves as a color analyst for the Professional Fighters League, PFL. So now a few facts to him. He is the only UFC fighter to win a championship after becoming a Hall of Famer and the oldest champion in MMA history. In 2005, he moved to Las Vegas, which he opened his own extensive chain of gyms under the name Extreme Couture. He partnered with Buzz Rutten to open Legends Gym in Hollywood, California. He is the first of 7 fighters to hold 2 UFC championship titles in 2 different divisions. Couture has competed in a record 16 title fights. On October 23, 2019, Randy Couture suffered a heart attack. He walked himself to the hospital after something felt off following a workout in Los Angeles. He calmed everything down, saying, "Contrary to recent rumors, I have not kicked the bucket yet. I'm one of those people that has crazy thick blood and normally high bad cholesterol. Unfortunately, those 2 factors combined to create a nice cloth, including my diagonal artery." On September 8, 2020, Randy was rushed into surgery following a horror quad accident with his girlfriend Mandy Robinson, which occurred on his ranch just outside of Flagstaff, Arizona. He broke his shoulder and 4 ribs. Randy made a good transition into the acting field. He's a well-known actor due to his work in the Expendable franchise. Now let's look at the championship and awards. So you can take a seat back because there is a lot coming. Greco-Roman Wrestling. Pan American Championship Greco-Roman Seniors 90 Kilo, 2nd place, June 13, 1990. Pan American Championship Greco-Roman Seniors 90 Kilo, winner on January 1st, 1991. Pan American Championship Greco-Roman Seniors 90 Kilos, 2nd place on January 1st, 1992. Pan American Championship Greco-Roman Seniors 97 Kilos, 3rd place on May 21st, 1997. Pan American Championship Greco-Roman Seniors 97 Kilos, 2nd place on March 24th, 1998. Pan American Games Greco-Roman Seniors 90 Kilo winner on August 6, 1991. For the FILA Wrestling World Championship, FILA Test Tournament Greco-Roman Seniors 97 Kilo, 3rd place on March 14, 1998. FILA World Cup Greco-Roman Seniors 90 Kilo, 3rd place on November 9, 1991. FILA World 1 and 1992. NCAA Division 1, 190 pounds. NCAA Division 1, 190 pounds, runner-up out of Oklahoma State University 1991, NCAA Division 1, 190 pounds, runner-up out of Oklahoma State University 1992. In the UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship, he is in the UFC Hall of Fame. At UFC 13 Heavyweight Tournament Champion, UFC Rodrigo Nogueira on August 29th, 2009. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he had 2001 Fight of the Year versus Pedro Rizzo on March 4th, 2003 Most Outstanding Fighter, 2007 MMA Most Valuable Fighter, and MMA's Most Valuable Fighter of the Decade in the 2000s. In the World MMA Awards, he won 2010 Outstanding Contribution to MMA Award, and in MMA Freak, he was inducted into the MMA Freak Hall of Fame in the class of 2013. Now let's look at his MMA record. He has 19 wins and 11 losses, 7-6 by KO, 4-4 by submissions, 8-1 by decision. So he has a record of 13-6 before TUF and 6-5 after TUF. Next video, we look at the first fighter, the first pick of Team Liddell, Bobby Southworth.